while I'm doing a video. This is like coffee talk. I'm kind of dating myself here, but oh well. Some people may remember that. People my age or people millennial generation, because they're retro. But using my daughter's cast off giant mug. I saved it from the destruction of the garbage because she doesn't like it now that it comes apart. The insulator inside of it can be removed, the thermal part. So she doesn't like it now. So I do. But I'm just doing this video because two things. One is, why is it easy for some vets to get the Rudisill done, the Rudisill review for their Montgomery GI Bill, and then other vets like me, I requested an online review twice. I called into their call center. Now, those of you that don't know, I don't know if it's a Democrat or Republican thing, but we have call centers springing up all over the country, and largely they're federal contracts. Hey, it's more than likely it's probably a veteran-owned business. But the thing is, I support small business. It's the backbone of our country. Well, it used to be. Now, big businesses, sadly, small businesses, becoming more difficult to maintain stability during these hard times the past maybe 20 to 30 years. And generally, when people think of small business now, they think of the local version of a chain, which is still a small business, but it's different because there's lots of strings attached, lots of rules. And there's somebody, you can almost guarantee, somebody somewhere, either sitting on a board or some kind of franchising authority, which is still a board, is gaining the profits. And the small business, they're only earning actually still sizable, but not as much as a company that's totally independent would. But it's the way things are going. And those companies, if there isn't a board in direct control, leaving the small business owner a fraction of control, or a franchising authority, which still has lots of rules, and again, like I said, is a board too, that would be pretty rare. That's what people think of now when they think of small business. It's a different world, and it's becoming more and more controlled by a few, because in the end, those franchising authorities are made by somebody very wealthy who made the chain, and those other, franchises that you're, part of a group. It's still, it's distinctly different, but yet still similar to those where you pay a franchising fee. But those that, have more corporate governance and you just own basically a store and you run it, but everybody connected to the larger corporation, they're the ones, the shareholders and such, are earning much more than somebody would who completely independently runs it. But that's the state of business affairs. And so I have, I support business 100%. Even these call centers, but you're finding a lot of them popping up. There's I forget the name, but it's like a one-stop for government affairs call centers. You have VA Health Connect call center plus the dashboard. Um, let's see, you got a call center for I forgot what they call it, but the Obamacare. They have a call center. Hey, I support uh, some kind of insurability for everybody, or cost sharing something, because it's human, and I think it's a disgrace to this country when we could drop a nuclear missile, or not shoot off a missile, any kind of long range ICBM, and annihilate a large section of any country in the world. Whether we're doing it from the sky or we're doing it from land out in the middle of Idaho, nowhere Idaho, or we're doing it from a sub in the middle of the Pacific. I think it's shameful that I see. There was a time when I was a pastime, but because I remarried. But there was a time that I was a chaplain at a children's hospital, and when I remarried, I was removed. Even though it was a civil marriage still, but you do what you're told. But anyway, and I was protecting this bishop's mission, but he wouldn't listen to me. And in the end, lots of other Eastern churches came in and basically cut up his jurisdiction. But anyway, so I was a chaplain at a children's hospital. I didn't want to do it, but a priest friend said, come on, you'll help people, and it's a good experience too. But I'm like, I'm not a kids person, just my own kids. But he convinced me to do it, and it grew on me. Seeing those families, their children suffering, and they need somebody to give them hope, give them light, say a prayer with them. Kind of altered my perspective. Now it's a soft spot with me. When you see in the hospital that I was a chaplain, assistant chaplain, there was a lot of hydrocephalus, preemies. We had kids with bone marrow spina bifida. We had kids with different kinds of leukemia, and it hits you. I grew up around elders and people doing home care in my family. Matter of fact, in my mother's side, we kind of have a long history of people having nursing homes. My great-grandmother ran one in her home. She had like 7 or 8 people in her home that they took care of until they passed. Until the patient passed. So it's kind of a thing in our family to do that. So I've been around that a lot. People who are older, who are ailing. And still it hits you. But when you see children and infants, I used to go and stand in the middle of the NICU, and then I would say my prayers. That hits you. When you see a little tiny baby fighting for life, that hits you. Life's very fragile. And I support our military 100%. I am a veteran. Until medical issues happened and other issues happened here to cause a lot of issues medically that won't be waived, I was going to return to active duty. But anyway, so when we could do what we could do in this country, militarily and technologically, and we have children, and we have elders, and we have people in their 50s, like me, people that shouldn't be having severe or fatal health issues. It's wrong. I think it's wrong. And the amount of money that we spend on nonsense things, technologically or even pharmaceutically, it's wrong. And I was talking with somebody at Walmart yesterday. It's kind of an interesting conversation. I never really thought about it until I talked to this gentleman. But I started looking for yogurt, and we dump sugar in everything. Yogurt. We are obsessed with dumping sugar in yogurt. I say dump because the vast majority of yogurt out there that you're going to buy, the normal bowl-sized container, I forgot how many ounces it is, but maybe 15 or 20 ounces. No, it's just a bowl of yogurt. Every store's got them. For the most part, every grocery store. And when you read the back, you're going to find anywhere from 7 to 11 grams of sugar. Even in the low-fat, low-carb, low yogurt, you're still going to find 2 to 4 grams of sugar. But then when you want to jump to the sugar-free, maybe it's got aspartame or any of the other artificial, sugars, based on amino acids and such. And then you got the others with a little bit better artificial sweetener, like stevia. I'm waiting for them to put allulose in yogurt. That'll be the perfect food. Here you got high protein, good healthy fats yogurt, and then you're going to add an artificial sweetener that is the best one because it has the lowest glycemic index. In addition to that, it helps you lose weight. It has an affected digestion that fat is, it just has an effect on your digestion and your metabolism. So you better burn fat that you do eat. It's a great sugar, which sadly the past few months I see people taking it off the shelves. Don't ask me why. It's the safest. Everybody puts on erythritol. Erythritol is great for mouthwash, toothpaste, and to use as a sweetener once in a blue moon. But erythritol is connected long-term use in enough, portioning, like several tablespoons a day in something. If somebody uses it as their primary sweetener, it's connected to cardiovascular adverse events, heart attack, stroke, PAD, because it just has a negative effect on arteries and veins. People don't know that though. In our house, I rarely use it as a sweetener, but it's great for homemade mouthwash and homemade toothpaste because it has an antibacterial effect. It's not bacterial static, but it is antibacterial, meaning it makes it harder for bacteria to thrive. Bacteriostatic would mean it kills all bacteria. Oh, also, some of the people don't know using a couple of these artificial sweeteners over time kills your gut bacteria. That's one of them. There's several. Allulose does not, which is probably why people are pulling it off their shelves and they're probably jacking up the price. I've seen it online. It's expensive. $30 for, what was that, 3 or 4 pounds? But anyway, we dump sugar in everything. And then we pump billions of dollars a year into a diabetic industry. Ever hear the saying, the cart before the horse? Well, stop dumping sugar in everything nationally. Former First Lady Michelle Obama started, shifting a focus onto this. But unfortunately, nationally, we didn't take it as serious as we could. We still dump sugar in everything. And if we're going to use artificial sweeteners, the companies that we buy food from, they just pick the cheapest one from the cheapest distributor. And some of these long-term, they're not good for you. I'm not going to go back with the saccharin and the sweet and low, or maybe that is saccharin. What's the other one? Saccharin and aspartame, um, phenyl. No, phenylalanine. That's the people who are sensitive to them. And there's different levels of that too, and you may be have a sensitivity to one, and you not have a sensitivity to another, because they're all based on. Most of them are based on various amino acids and fructose. I think there's one or two that are derivative of fructose. Um, I can't remember the other one, but back in the 80s, there were some connections with lab testing on rats of one or two of those sugars, and there was negative effects. But I guess they changed the formulation because they're back on the shelves. But anyway, we dump millions into a diabetic industry when we dump millions of liters of sugar into all of our food, everything. You go to the store, if we were to nationally be responsible with our sugar intake, the pharmaceutical industry and the medical profession wouldn't like it, but we could give that money to our sick. We could give that money to our terminally ill. Oh. Especially our children and our elders. Fidgety washer today. Doesn't want to stay put. But if we were responsible, we could help more people. Because I believe that everybody deserves health care. Be it a health program, maybe not single payer, but, something. Single payer is good and bad. You want the market to be competitive, otherwise you won't get good care. Then on the other hand, you want to make sure everybody's covered. So I think the system is good as it is, just tweak it a bit. And there's also cost sharing. There's, largely Christian groups, but there's groups out there that do medical sharing where you share the burden of one of your brothers and sisters. Those are great too. Why not use a combination of all the above? And health savings accounts, use a combination of all the above. That's what I plan to, even with the VA and my private insurance, I'd rather use a combination of all the above. But anyway, so I kind of got off my point. But so these call centers are popping up all over the place. Some of them are being grabbed and working in the education industry. There's a lot of schools popping up, for-profit schools, just like for-profit universities, and they have giant contact centers connected to them. I've encountered some of these, some good, some I didn't like at all. I found them abusive, they're dismissive, they try to underhandedly focus on profit and poor customer service, even pushing the line with legality regarding financial aid processes. That's why some of them have been sanctioned, which means that they basically send a lawyer to the contact center who coordinates between the Department of Education, the contact center, and the school, and they rubber stamp. I don't want to say rubber stamp. They stamp and have to co-sign everything. I don't want to say rubber stamp. Misrepresentation. They oversee every single financial aid process, all the way from the point of receiving an ICER, which is I forgot what ICER stands for, but anyway, it's an electronic financial aid data, and they're usually sent in batches. And all the way from the point of receiving a student's ICER to issuing their financial aid award to the point of receiving the Master Promissory Note, Pell Grant, tuition grant, whatever. They oversee all of that, and it has to be privately approved. Well, not privately, but you know what I mean. The overseer will sign and audit everything. And that goes on for anywhere from 2 to 4 years before they remove the sanctions. And if they fail, if they fail during that period, they can no longer receive financial aid. And if the overseer and the auditor, after their 2 to 4 years, says, okay, well, you're accepted back, without oversight on probationary status, if they screw up then, they'll revoke it. They can no longer accept financial aid. Well, I've experienced some of these contact centers connected to these schools, and I just know about the backwards and crazy and backroom process of some of these companies, because I worked at a contact center for a year. And being as I've spent so much time in Southeast Asia, I've known lots of people who either wanted to or planned to or did work at call center and contact centers. But back office processing organizations, BPOs, they do everything. They'll accept your faxes, they'll send your faxes, they'll answer your phone calls, they'll make phone calls for you. They will scan and process any kind of documentation. They will take notes from customer service calls and type them up. I mean, they do anything. They run your dashboards for your various organizations. So I know a little bit about this stuff. Not a lot, but a little. And some of the stuff that I saw at the contact center I worked at, shocked me. There's a lot of great, wonderful people there that wanted to, work hard, earn a lot of money, help people, achieve, their goals as well as the company's mission. And there were other people that were like there to just be nasty, hurt people. I met somebody on the bus who their sister works at the same place I used to, and she's worked there like a long time and still there. So sadly, according to her sister, sounds like one of those bad people that I knew that worked there. She's been there that long. Think of all the people she's come into contact with. If she's one of the bad people there, and just destabilize them, target them, because that's a lot of power. The call center, contact center I worked at, they don't have the same contracts they did 8 years ago, but they still have a lot of contracts. And sometimes you'll encounter a person that you've talked to before under a different contract. So you'll have the possibility to interact with somebody perhaps with 3 or 4 different accounts that are connected to them. And I've posted about this before. That's a lot of power. A lot of power. It's how you can easily organize to harm somebody is through the notes section, because we all open the notes. They open, when somebody's file opens up, you see the notes connected to that person, that call. And that's how you hurt people. And that's how the VA does it. They open up your file, and I forgot the name of their software, but they see a flag. And if somebody's a bad person, they're going to read the flags. They're going to be like, oh, okay. I had a bad day today. Ooh, that guy's going to wish I never took his call or never, talked to him when he's here for an appointment. And that's how they do it. And if you're a veteran and you've been flagged like me, you should go into your file, pull a blue button report, and look in your file. My file, I found the vast majority of the complaints against me are from the call center. And then two providers that most of their patients don't like. And one of the providers, even the staff doesn't like him, but they refuse to fire him. But it's interesting. But so these call centers popping up all over the place, and the VAs is big. My problem with them, aside from the medical side, is trying to get the Rudisill review done. The last time I talked to somebody who worked at the call center, she went through it with me, the process step by step, which I've already done before. But she said, "Now we'll watch this and we'll get it done." Never got done. That was 2 months ago. Never heard back. It's supposed to be automatically done. And that will be 4 times as of right now. I've tried to get the Rudisill review done. Now, why is this important? Because I've used 2 different versions, 2 different chapters of the GI Bill, and I transitioned into the 911 GI Bill, the post 911. But I only used like 2.5 to 3 years. Now, how is this relative? Because there was a court case last April where somebody, sounds like he was active Ed reserve, just like many of us, just like me. He had regular deployments, and then he had mobilization deployments, and broken service, and that's just like me. And so he sued the VA because he was denied GI Bill benefits, even though he has reserve plus active plus mobilizations and broken service. And the Supreme Court said he's right. He shouldn't be denied the GI Bill. The only thing that limits the GI Bill is U.S. Code. And in U.S. Code, it does limit the GI Bill to 48 months. Common practice was 36. And that's me. I've went back through all my payments, and they have said that I'm pretty much at 36 months. But I think if my file was audited, I think I'm less than 36 months. But still, regardless of that, I have broken service too. I have mobilizations too. I was active plus reserve plus IRR. My case is exactly like his, so I should have another year according to the Rudisill review. But the call centers keep messing me over. They'll say that they're going to escalate it. They never do. They'll just look at it rudimentary. They won't even go and research anything, and they'll just deny it. If they go back and they pull my files, they'll see that my case is exactly like, I think it's Sergeant Rudisill. I forget his first name, but my case is exactly like his. And, I would argue that we should be helping veterans all the time. Why is the bulk of our help for veterans mental health and medical care? Why is everything else secondary? When it's mental health or social work, same thing, and disability assistance or medical care, why only 2? It's kind of like saying to veterans, we're going to help you when you're really bad, but we're not going to advocate for you until you're really bad. I think that's a messed up approach. It's messed up. We dump millions of dollars a year into criminal rehabilitation, which, you don't know who's coming out. Are they truly repentant? Are they truly changed? You don't know, because some of them have learned how to manipulate the system, and some of them have friends and chaplains and, guys that spent their years in the library and got tons of degrees. We spend millions, and, because we don't put enough money into developing proper psychological measures to actually look and see if they're changed. Everything is professional clinical judgment nonsense. I mean, not professional judgment, that's financial aid. Everything is clinical judgment. Well, I think this. Where's the measures, doctor or counselor? Where's the measures? You know, I'm not a therapist because of the things that happened with my loans, because the VA, that promise, oh, we'll pay you back. Yeah, you can use your credit lines and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. I got your back. Yeah, with a knife. But anyway, so I can consult, but I can't do therapy or do a clinical judgment. But I can write an opinion. But I think we should be focusing on the science. You know, that's the criticism of psychology and social work. Is the fact that there can be a lack of scientific measurement. Everything is based on the psychologist's clinical opinion, which in medicine, you do that, you have your license taken away. I think the same should apply to any kind of social science, any kind of mental health. Let's limit the clinical judgment and focus on the science. So that's our failure. Nobody wants to invest time and look at things like empathy. What's the chance of recidivism? The only investment for recidivism that we've done as a country is to make sure rapists and pedophiles have a low rate of recidivism. What about everything else out there? There's some slight investment in violent criminals and violent crime, looking at recidivism rates. But we can invest millions more. What about the car thieves? What about the drug addicts? What about the drug dealers? What about the worst kind of human being, the human traffickers? Well, there's a lot more measures that have to be developed, and we really need to work on some that are comprehensive. One of my ideas was an empathy, an all-encompassing scientific measurement to test overall empathy. And I've even developed within my measure tests for false empathy. Like when people say, oh, that's so cute, or, oh, that's really sweet. Fake empathy. But anyway, maybe somebody else will pick it up. But a comprehensive test for empathy, because empathy is the doorway to humanity. If you don't have empathy, then the chances are you're going to easily objectify and harm someone or participate in it. But so why don't we, test these kind of things? And, why doesn't the VA invest in, more education for veterans? I mean, if you're rated, there's some programs that open up, but why do we, limit the education funds? Why not set up with a veteran, push besides the old kicker and stuff like that for the GI Bill? Actually, it's not required anymore. Why not set up, when people join the military, hey, we've created this special annuity. It's for education for you and your family. You can contribute $10 a month while you're in active duty, and this particular annuity pays at 15% or 20%, renewable every 5 years. An average enlistment is 4 to 6. So, why not do stuff like that? Annuities are great things. I wish I would have taken some opportunities, actually increased opportunities with them. But, yeah, we should really invest in more than just throwing a 4-year GI Bill at a vet. But, still, still it's great that everybody will get a year more. But the thing is that the fact that some of us keep having problem with call centers, not all the time, but just many times I'll find that my problem is in the call center. Is it targeting? I mean, not always. Sometimes it's just incompetence. People don't care. You know, 30 years ago when you called the call center, those were all federal employees. Nowadays, they're contractors. They don't care. Sometimes they're subcontractors. That's a contractor of a contractor. They don't care. They're lowly paid. They have no benefits. Or if they do, it's nothing, really to smile about. So they don't care. Then some call centers, they hire people out of college. They just need something to pay the rent. They hire people, somebody that was sent over by the employment agency. The person may or may not like it. They may or may not even want to work because all the stuff they're worrying about, because their life's not in order because they were pushed to work too fast. Anyway, you don't know what you're getting. And then sometimes you got somebody that's ordered to work because they have to pay a debt or they got in trouble. You don't know what you're getting. It could be good and bad, There's all kinds of people that have messed up and, took a while to wake up and get straight and, get their P's and Q's straight and get their behavior the right way. And be repentant for things they've done in the past. And some people, it takes a long time. So you don't know what you're getting. That's what I experienced. You don't know who you're going to be working with. And, if that call, that person's talking to, if they're really going to get helped at all. Or maybe they will, and the person will remember them. I've also worked with people like that. I was like that. You remember people after you talk to them once or twice. You'll remember faces, or not faces, but names. Even places they talk about, you'll remember. But, this is a big push for these contact centers. And sometimes they're not run very well. The only thing they're focused on is the call time. That way they can present it to the contracting agency or the contracting company and provide statistics. Only the very, very intelligent call centers are providing statistics that are related to customer satisfaction and customer outcome. Those are more limited. It's very clever, but to somebody who's intelligent and who doesn't mind, sometimes playing a shark or even, cutting open that gutting that cow in front of everybody to show what's really there, even if people get offended. You don't find a lot of people like that. Sometimes you do, and those are the call centers that get big. And that has its own problems. But anyway, this is my problem, and I think somebody from our call center here, I think that they've went to the call center in Buffalo, which is where my benefits would be administered through at this point because of the state that I live. And I think a couple of people from our community here have moved to work there. And one of them, this is just coincidence, one of them, when I called in there to that call center, I knew her. One of them, I remember her. She used to be my neighbor. And I'm like, different name now and stuff. I'm like, what the? But anyway, so some veterans may be getting screwed over. And once again, people not giving them what they deserve. Which brings me to the second thing. I could be verbose. I got to try to learn to get my YouTube videos lower. I mean, this is mostly documentation anyway. But I was going to go to Sonoran Desert Institute, which is a great school. There's some great stuff there. But I don't like their contact center, you know. The first thing they wanted was my ID sent through an insecure means to an insecure email. You know, my identification, or they wouldn't move forward. Yeah, then they want all of your transcripts. They want everything, or you can't go there. And if they find out you had transcripts later when you went there and you didn't order them, they can kick you out of the school. It's right in the enrollment agreement, which is crazy because they can't award more than an associate's degree. I mean, so I don't understand their thinking, but anyway. But I told them to cancel my enrollment because first of all, the VA rep refused to investigate and to advocate for my Rudis review. She said, "Oh yeah, I logged in. It's denied." I'm like, "Denied? I never received anything." And I'm like, "Why would it be denied?" Because my case is exactly like his. I said, I want it revisited. And she's like, "Nope, that's not what we do. I'm not involved in that. But you're welcome to apply for loans." I'm like, I'm already dealing with that too, thanks to the VA. This is what happens when you're organized against. Stuff will snowball, trouble that holds you back. And, the thing is, when you haven't done anything wrong to deserve this, there's no peace for you until God delivers you, until your two angels come to take you out of the Sodom and Gomorrah situation. I mean, it's a bad analogy, but people probably get the idea, to take you out of your hell. And so you just suffer and, wait on him. But, if somebody did something wrong, there's jail for them to look forward to for whatever it is that they did. But for normal people who are targeted, for nothing, God forbid you're on active duty, it can ruin your career or make you a risk for the people you're working with. That's why I've been trying to beat the VA over the head with hey, veterans that have been in certain campaigns or that have spent a long time overseas and some hacker group decides to target them, what are you doing to protect them? Well, all we do is provide assistive housing grants and what's the word? Slight case management. Either you're managing a case or you're not. There's no such thing as slight case management. But somebody's had to do something to protect these veterans, especially nowadays when if you're Jewish and you're on a college campus, you may be getting threats. You may get people protesting outside your house just because who you are. We haven't seen this kind of racist garbage since Brown v. Board. This is insane. Because some of these people who are doing this, they claim to support comprehensive civil rights legislation. And now they're protesting just because somebody wears a yarmulke? And because somebody, instead of going to Friday prayers, they go to Friday Shabbat? It's insane. But need some kind of protections for veterans. God forbid I knew somebody actually who did this. Was a NATO observer in Egypt, Israel, and the Sinai Peninsula. And they happen to come back to a college campus and people find out they're a veteran. They're hanging outside the VA office. and they're Jewish. God forbid. We have to have plans in place. I mean, these things are easy to do. You don't have to be from the intelligence community to figure out how to protect people. Now, to create an identity, I mean, yeah, there's some steps to do it and ensure that it has that wall around it so the person's identity doesn't get, exposed. You gotta have certain things in place. And there's some ways that are rather shocking, but they can make it permanent, and so nobody will ever find them. There's certain things that can be done. But the fact of the matter remains that we have to protect our veterans. And when I applied to this Sonoran Desert Institute, I was excited, because life, I didn't put in that package for aviation, for Army aviation. I never put the package in because I got married, but I still love flight, since my financial issues and my medical issues, at this time I couldn't afford, nor would I try to go to anything beyond ground school. I don't even have the money to pay for ground school because of our targeting. But and as far as going, taking aircraft up in the air, not until all of my surgeries are done. All of them. I wouldn't put anybody at risk. But I could fly a drone. Well, not now, because they toyed with me and their VA rep refused to investigate. I don't believe her because I didn't receive anything back. The last Rudisser review, they just dropped it right at the call center. It's just dropped. Oh yeah, and I didn't finish talking about the call centers. They're popping up all over the country because there's a lot of federal contracts, and some of these call centers it's a way that the agency can save money, and they can also hide costs because it'll be just a contract bid. Okay, $25 million for contact center services. Boom. And then whatever is included in that is in the contract. Oh yes. Providing background information on every client that engages with the agency. That's also in the contract. Okay. You're good. That's how they hide things. But, not to say that any agency would do that, but they may. But that's not the norm. But, sell targeted advertising and then use that money to seed a company that that tracks user data. They would do something like that. And anyway, but yeah, so these call centers are popping up all over the place, and they can be destructive when they're not run by the right people and when they hire the wrong people. But so dealing with this, their contact center, they first of all, they deny that they're in a contact center, but I looked up their building, and at first, my question started because their address and one guy's signature for admissions did not match their physical address. And they're like, what, you looked it up? I'm like, of course, why wouldn't I? It's a virtual school. I want to know everything about them. I don't walk into anything blind. I try not to. Nothing. I will walk into nothing blind. And so I questioned him. He's like, then he explained it. He's like, because the former name of the school is such and such, and that's connected to the address. I'm like, okay. Because I looked up their filings with the state of Arizona, too. That's just who I am. I don't walk into anything blind. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I did see filings for that. Okay, all right. No, we explain things now. I don't know why their name is all goofy on the decal. Because it would be reversed with a Google camera, possibly. If it's in a mirror or reflection, it would be reversed. But it's just totally, it's like, what was it? It was It should be SDI, but instead it's ISD or IDS. It was like reversed. It should be SDI, but it was like, I think it was ISD. I was like, what the heck? Intermediate School District. I'm like, what? Anyway, so he said, oh, well, the former name for our building is such and such, because we used to be a Voc Tech school. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, yeah, I see some registrations with the state of Arizona regarding that, and I see some Google history regarding that too, so okay, that matches. But that was the first questions I had for them. And they don't have that many Google reviews. Actually, they don't have any Google reviews. So either one, I'm being simulated again, or two, they've turned them off, and that's suspect automatically. I've known organizations to do it. They shut off their Google reviews. Usually it's because they have too many negative ones. Or they'll create, this is a clever one, they'll create a separate Google account, new. They'll register everything. You know, Google Analytics, a totally new registration as a business or an entity, and new address. It'll be like 200 feet from the old one, and then they'll start the reviews new. I mean, it's very clever, but to some Google reviewers and people with a background in, you know, various types of investigation and such, they're going to see through that. It's because the first account was so bad, apparently they didn't figure out how to turn off reviews, or Google didn't allow them to. But I've seen that before too. Completely new Google account, and only good reviews there. But anyway, so I dealt with these guys, you know, and some things I questioned, and then other things was like a lot of, I don't know, just they wanted to, they were so focused on all of this stuff that they wanted before they could enroll me. But yet, as far as doing the enrollment and taking care of the financial aspects, very little effort. And the lady toyed with me because she called me and said, all right, your veterans benefits are confirmed. Give me a call back so we could talk about the plans. And I call her back, and she says, the total opposite. So I'm like, what the heck? I don't like being toyed with. And she's like, well, they were denied. I'm like, you just called me and said they were approved. And she's like, well, no, they were denied. I'm like, are you toying with me? And she's like, there's nothing we can do. You're welcome to file for financial aid. I'm like, there's nothing you can do. It's your job to advocate for the veteran. Well, there's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands completely. I'm like, it sounded like she had me on a speakerphone or some kind of conference phone or something. I don't know, something. You know, but I don't like that kind of garbage. If somebody's going to put me on a speakerphone, I don't care if it's a call center or in their office. I want somebody to ask permission. I give that same courtesy to others. If they're recording a call, well, it's in their legal right to record a call. And I know they were recording the call because they told me this call will be monitored for quality assurance. That tells me that you're calling a call center, because universities don't have that audio watermark. And so she refused to do anything. And I hung up on her. I said, cancel my enrollment. Well, that's your prerogative. Yep, cancel my enrollment. And then I left her another message that she's despicable for toying. I didn't say it on the phone. I forgot to say that. So I called back. She's a despicable person for toying with me like that. And then her supervisor sent me an email, and I told her supervisor I'll be filing a complaint. I think that you're a despicable organization. You're a call center. The school, it was exciting. I mean, yeah, it's a Voc Tech place, and some of the stuff that they offer, you don't get a real certificate per se. like, any kind of accreditation or licensing type thing. I mean, they're accredited. How can I explain it? They're accredited, but there's no body that accredits gunsmithing certifications. There's no such accrediting organization. And for drone, the only way your true accreditation for drone piloting is if they provide a good study course to get your chapter your FAA drone cert. So you'll be a certified drone pilot. I forgot what that is. Um, Article or chapter something. I forget. Anyway, but it fails my mind to grab that. I can't grab it right now. What it's called? Anyway, your certification as a drone pilot with the FAA, and that would be the best test. Again, there's no accrediting organization for drone pilot school, but I was excited about that, but unfortunately, dealing with that VA office, and then the fact that every time I call in, 1 minute later, the call center guy from admissions calls me back. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's weird. It's almost creepy. It'll be 1 minute later. Every time I call him, it'll go to his voicemail. Then he calls me back a minute later. It's just kind of creepy. But, yeah. So I dropped out of the school. So Sonoran Desert, I've been looking at the reviews. There's a lot of negative stuff. I mean, the curriculum, though, you got to understand, there's no accrediting bodies for either one of those programs. But the school is accredited. And the thing that disappointed me, the fact that I was treated like garbage, when so many of their instructors are from my alma mater, one of them. They don't have anybody there who studied intelligence, but they've got some people with law enforcement background, emergency management. That's my department at American Public University System. That's my department. And about a quarter of our staff that teach in that department are from D.C. They work in D.C. or Northern Virginia. And yeah, that was just particularly insulting that happened to me. I was excited about it, I was even thinking, hey, maybe I'll, swing, an offer to them that I could develop a class, regarding aerial reconnaissance. Just one class. Obviously, it's not training somebody to be a predator pilot in a combat zone, but it'd be something useful. That's my training. I got more than one certificate at APUS. And I had profs ranging from DOD to Homeland Security to state to let's see who else, FBI. Let's see. I think we had a professor who was involved with geographic information systems. Yeah, I mean, so I could develop curriculum, but after this, no. No, not without some serious conflict resolution. And I just didn't like when that lady toyed with me like that. It's not funny. And then it further irritated me the fact that if she's not going to advocate for me, how many other veterans are just being dropped? I don't like that. When I'm in the room, nobody messes with vets. Nobody. Even Merchant Marine. Don't mess with vets when I'm around, because I'll say something. I'm the guy that'll put down my wallet at that customer service desk in front of the clerk, and I'll turn around and I'll say, "What did you say?" I don't like people messing with vets. I'm not saying I'm going to punch them, but I'll definitely, confront them publicly. If I have to, I'll shame them. If somebody's like a fake valor. Not stolen valor. Stolen valor means you served. Fake valor means you never served at all. I'll say something. I don't. There's a time even when Jesus shamed people, because some people, the only way that they learn is by shaming them. As sad as it is, but that's a reality. I understand there's repercussions for that psychologically. Some people it has long-term damage, but some people, they will not change. They will not get down on their knees. They won't even bend their head. If you're not going to bend and bow your head, that's a problem. So I was excited about it, but now, yeah. I highly doubt I'll be going there now. I told him to cancel everything anyway. Again, it's a call center, and I went to a school that they may be using the same call center. North Central University has a call center they use in, was it Prescott? Was it Prescott or Scottsdale? Oh, and maybe it was Scottsdale. Yeah, I think it was Scottsdale. So they could be using the same call center. But people at that call center, horrible people. Horrible. And now North Central, the North Central I went to, there's two of them. It's been absorbed by National University. So I don't know what they did with their call center, if they kept them, because National University, they have their own call center. And there's also a small call center with the San Diego offices of North Central University. They have two sets of offices: Scottsdale call center and administrative and instructive, San Diego call center, administrative, minimal instructive. They both have contact centers. Then National University, all three on their campus. That's a veteran school. A veteran, Marine Corps general started that school. But he's long gone now. It's been sold and resold I think it was 3 times. But no, actually 4 times. Yeah, I think it was 4 times. And now they bought and absorbed North Central University. So now it's a large conglomerate of, let's see, they've got a school, they've got JFK Law School, they've got North Central now, which has a lot of family therapy stuff. They have a lot of teaching stuff. And then National University they have their own very thick catalog of programs they offer. So they merged those 3. I think there might be something nursing too. But online nursing, that's touch and go. Some states you'll never be able to practice. Other states, you have other requirements. Nursing online, that's very, very dangerous tightrope walk. If you want to, truly be a nurse, it's a very, very dangerous tightrope walk. You don't want to spend all of that money and then find out you're limited. Like online law schools, there's less than 5 states you can practice. In pretty much any state, you can sit before the federal bench, but if you can't practice in the state you're living in, you're not going to get that many cases. Maybe VA, maybe consumer affairs type stuff. There's not a lot you could do. You could do maybe federal torts. I think federal torts, civil rights. There's limited what you could do. It's very limited. But, not that, if you're in a state that does allow it, go with it. There's about 5 states: New York, California, Nevada. There's like 4 or 5 states. But, why not? But it's just, that tightrope walk, just like with the nursing thing. But anyway, so They may be using some of the same call center in Arizona that North Central University was using when I was there. And oh my gosh, these are good schools, all of them. The problem is they're call centers. They're alienating students. They're focusing, they're turning the students into a cash cow. And, when you're so far removed from the student and you hire people that don't care about anything, like I've seen at the call center I worked, that explains the negative reviews. They don't care. They got a cash cow here. Oh, yeah, well, for every one or two students we lose, we can replace them with another 3. Who cares? That's their attitude. But what they don't realize is, and this is a thing that drives me nuts, people are so broad. They're short-sighted. They're very obtuse. They don't see broadly. They don't see longevity. They're not broad-sighted at all. They're short-sighted, narrow-minded, narrow-sighted, and they're certainly not seeing long-term. And they don't see the profits drop. And that's what happened with Argosy. I've known some good people that went there. It was a good school. I considered it for a long time. The problem was profits, drop in student enrollment, call centers that tick people off, and bad budgeting. That's what destroyed them. Well, you can see some of the same things happening to some of these other schools. Hopefully, they'll have people with foresight at the helm, and they'll stop this stuff before it hurts their school. These contact centers, they can destroy somebody. Call center I worked at, they had Blue Cross contracts with the state of Michigan. And in the course of 2 years that they had the contract, all of a sudden Blue Cross was less favored. Am I blaming the call center? No. But the fact that they're in at 8 and out at 4 means that people are limited. They can't get a lot of help. And being as, they only dedicated maybe 20 or 30 people a day, it explains a lot. And then for 3 or 4 years, Blue Cross was struggling. Especially, state-wise. With the state, they were already done. They're like, we no longer have a Blue Cross HMO connected with Medicaid or with Healthy Child. Nothing connected to Blue Cross. And they're just starting to get back in good graces now. Just starting. But call centers, they can make or break your company or your agency. And they can also cause incredible destruction of the clients, veterans, or recipients. And, they could sign a death warrant for an agency's budget. How much did you spend last year? $200 million. How much of that was on contact center contracts? $98 million. And tell me about what's going on with the people that you're helping. I want to see some percentages, outcomes. Whatever it is. Health. How many people have terminal issues? How many people have recurring issues? How many people are not getting their issues resolved, so it's ending up in litigation? 30%? Interesting. Better watch out.